My guest today is Joe Hawe with Federal Way Harmony Kings. He's been successful at producing fundraisers that also double as promotional outlets for the chorus. He has taken the chapter into the community for fun, outreach, visibility, and fundraising. So thanks, Joe, for being here with me today.
Happy to be here.
You've been successful raising money through auction events. So I'd like to kind of center on the auction idea and how did you get involved in that to start with?
Well, actually, I've been involved with auctions for over 30 years. I started a Boys and Girls Club in Sequim about 30 years ago. And we needed to raise the money to build the building and all of that. So I hired auctioneers. As I started doing it, I saw the need for it. So I went to auctioneering school in Montana. And then I started doing it, and we raised off the bat $7.8 million. And then I started doing it for community events, Boy Scouts, Cub Scouts, anything that needed it. And it's always just been part of me, and I volunteered auctioning for years. So when the chance came for us to do something to raise some money for our budget about 8 years ago now, I talked the board into let's try an auction. And I was fortunate enough to deal with our Sweet Adeline's chorus that's in Federal Way with us, and we came together to do a joint auction, and we ended up raising $5,000 each for our budgets. That was the first go at it. I got to talk to you about some things about that. Auctions are great, but they're at the high end of fundraising, and we got to discuss that. So what I'd like to do is talk to you about some points that I brought up that the board needs to talk about before they get into these fundraising issues.
Well, that's good, because my next question is, what should a chapter do? So let's start there.
Okay, first of all, the board needs to take a serious look at where they stand. They have to understand where their budget is, where their shortfalls are, where they need improvement, and what they want to target to spend their money on. So once they do that, they'd have to determine what is practical for your chapter. Do you have a large chapter? Do you have a small chapter? Do you have a medium-sized chapter? What are your members like? What's their age groups? What's their activity level? Do you have people who, take for instance, singing Valentine's? Do you have a number of people who want to go out and sing for Valentine's Day? Quartets. Do you have a number of members in the organization that will go out and sell the tickets? And what is your estimated revenue from that if you do it? And if you haven't done it, you need to sit and think about, well, we can do this, and how much money do we want to raise? Those are a couple of first steps. And determine how active your chorus wants to be in the fundraising aspects. A lot of choruses have people that want to sing but don't want to do anything else. A lot of choruses have people who want to help the chorus as much as they can, but they're seniors and they don't have the energy to go out and do a lot of that kind of stuff. So the board needs to think about what's our target, how much do we want to need, what are the needs for next year's budget, and what events can we do to help us bring the money in. One of the key things, and I just said it, is how good are we at selling tickets? How good are we at getting people to come to an event? That's important. Do you have any benefactors that contribute to your chorus? Are any members business owners? Do you have retirees that enjoy the music that you can talk to help contribute to our sponsor an event, or get them to the event to participate? After that, you need to look at how active is your board at developing revenue. Do you apply for grants? Do you get anything from the local government, from the city, the county, from the arts and arts foundations and that? If you're going to do a fundraiser that you need a place, do you have a place available that you can hold the event? If it's more than just the place where you sing, does it need to be bigger than the place you sing? And will it work for you? And if you can find a sponsor for the event, such as an auction or sing out or that, will a sponsor help contribute to that, either product or dollars or both? If you can, there's all kinds of things I'll talk about in a minute about our ideas that you can use. If you're going to do something like an auction or something like a swap meet or something like that, do you have chorus members who have or do they have family members or friends who have experience managing those? If you can find somebody who has done it before, it makes the job a lot easier. So those are the main things that I think you need to take in mind. The first thing, as I said earlier, is that the board needs to kind of do a self-analysis. Do they have the resources? Do they have the energy? Do they have a commitment from the chorus to do that? And if they can target that, then determine at what level do they have all of that. Is it a small function, a medium function, or do you want to take on a big one? Or do you want to grow into fundraising as a part of your yearly budget plan? So those are the things that I look at when I'm putting a budget or when I'm talking to somebody about putting a fundraiser together.
So let me ask about the concept of planning in advance. So we'll pretend that the board of the Facebook chorus or the Zoom chorus has decided they'd like to go forward with an auction. How much in advance do you have to work, and what kind of committees need to be set up to put it together?
Let me ask you, first of all, let's role play this.
Okay.
What's your target money you want to raise?
Let's see. For our chapter, we would like to be able to add $3,000.
$3,000. Okay, that's a small auction, and it's a very doable thing. So you probably need to put a committee together to deal with the auction, and they probably should start 3 to 6 months before in the planning. And there's going to be a lot of talk through among that committee as to what kind of auction do they want, what are the items they want to put in it, where do you want to do it, how many people do you expect to come, and can you raise that? So that first, that puts you into what place do you want to pick, okay? For $3,000, it doesn't have to be very big. You can run anything from, depending on the type of items you get and the value you put on the request for items, will depend your ability to reach your target. So say a $3,000 auction, if you had 15 to 20 items, that would work very well. If you want to do a lot, and you can do 2 types of auctions and put them together. You can do a silent auction where you just put the items out and they have bid sheets that people sign up on and put the money they want to pay. Or you can do a silent auction with a live auction where you have somebody who's calling the bids. And at that level, you don't really need anybody who's a well-known auctioneer. All you need is somebody who's crazy enough to get up there and start calling for bids and asking for money. And that's the big thing. If you're going after money, you got to ask for it. And you got to have somebody who's comfortable doing that. And I don't know a chorus who doesn't have somebody who's outgoing and willing to pick on the guys in the crowd. So you got to put fun into the auction. That's it. So
okay, so let's say that I have just now decided that I need to make. I don't know what the legal limit is for the state of Washington, but I want to make 10 grand. Is that doable?
Yes. There is a fundraising. There's 2 places you can go. First of all, you go to the Gambling Commission and see what they require for the law. And for nonprofits, it's not very much. Okay, so you just got to make sure within the law. There's things you can't do without having them or the liquor board. If you can't sell any liquor. Let me put to the side here. You can auction liquor off without any problem, but you cannot sell liquor at the auction without a liquor license. Okay, so that's an important thing. What was your question?
Well, basically, I want to raise 10 grand, and we're going to pretend like my state or province, whichever will allow us nonprofit to earn that much.
Okay.
So is it the same process, basically just larger?
Oh yeah, you can do $100,000 auction if you want, but there are certain limits and restrictions that you have as you do it. And the Gambling Commission, it's all online. You can look it up and they'll tell you exactly what you have to do and don't do. And it's not threatening or cumbersome. And
I need to interrupt for half a second to have you back up, because all we're seeing is your nose and your mouth.
Okay, there we go.
So it's just basically the difference in scale, but the same amount of planning. Now, how do you go about getting people to donate items to be auctioned off?
Well, that gets to where I was talking about earlier. You got to have chapter members who are willing to go out and find the items and hit the sponsors up for it. Businesses, personal people. What if it's a general auction where you're going to auction off whatever they bring? That's easy. But if you're doing particular things like sports memorabilia, that kind of thing, that takes a little different aspect of how you go out and get it and you authenticate it. Okay. But in general, auctions are pretty easy. Just put a limit on each of your chorus members as to the minimum amount you want a donation to be. $30, $50, and no limit on the top end. Because you got a lot of room to play with there. That does not stop them from asking other people to get involved in going in and getting items in that. So as many items as you can get is better for you.
Okay, now the couple of auctions that I have actually attended, you had there was, well, I can say we because I was there, but it wasn't just an auction, because we had performances from quartets and from the chorus, and we shared the profits that we generated in the case of Jet Cities, their chorus sang and stuff like that. So you can make this a whole night performance auction, raise money, and reach the community at the same time, correct?
Correct. Was that our auction that you went to, or was it another auction? Okay. So yes, since I had experience doing auctions, I pretty much knew what we needed to bring in the money we needed. We wanted to bring in $5,000 to $10,000 or $3,000 to $5,000 for our chorus, and Jet Cities needed to do the same thing. Because of the size, two choruses coming together with all their family, friends, and their people come to their shows. As you know, it was a big auction, so fill the room. We were limited on the amount of entertainment we could do, but we did it, and that's what it's about. It's a fun night. So yes, that is important. The smaller the auction, the more leeway you have to do things around the auction, like more entertainment and that kind of thing. And the more entertainment you have, the more fun that people have, and that'll bring them back to the next one. So where else were you going with this?
Well, it just basically it can be an entertainment thing. You can invite people from the public to come and be part of it. I do know that holding it, if you can find a venue, restaurant venue or something like that, I know that being able to serve beer and wine changes the complexion of an auction as well.
Yes, it does. It loosens people up, and they are more willing to spend their money. Also, as you know, that auction we did was a dinner auction. So there was a meal with it, and we did ours at a golf course that donated the space to us. So yeah, that's a good point. If you can get a space where one of your chorus members is a member of that, you can often get that kind of stuff, the space in that, at no cost to you. So that's a good thing to keep in mind because space around these days costs money. I want to hit on the piece I was just talking about auctioneering.
Okay.
My recommendation is if you're going to start an auction, if you've never done one, and if you don't have to raise a lot of money, I'd try it on your own and try to do it, try to put it together. If you want to raise $3,000 to $5,000, you work on. If you get over $5,000, you probably need to get somebody who has experience calling auctions. Doesn't have to be a professional, just somebody. It's amazing the number of people who've done auctions, family auctions and things like that, who aren't afraid to get up there and have fun with the crowd.
Tell me about the dessert auction, which totally blew me away. How did that come about?
Okay, we had a decision on this was when we did the auction on what we can do to raise some more money, bring more interest to it. So we went to the chorus and asked for them and their spouses to put together items that there would be a contest for the best dessert item and a prize for that. And family members, our members, sons, daughters, nieces, nephews, grandmothers, grandfathers, all put items in. And we had, I think we sold 25 dessert items off of that. And people had a lot of fun with it. And then they got to pick who the winner was. And that added to it. Now, if you do that, that's going to add probably 45 minutes to an hour to your auction.
Right. So generally, an auction, what do you think a good length of time for an auction to be?
I would put an auction, well, if you're going to have a dinner, you're talking about 5 or 6 in the evening until probably 9 o'clock or so, with 45 minutes to an hour of the dinner and to get to know each other. And if you have alcohol and social time, that has to go in with the dinner. And then 2 hours for the auction. And that's pretty much all the time for that.
One of the things that I've been encouraging in all of our Zoom meetings is to work together, ask questions together, brainstorm together and stuff like that. So on one hand, you may be contacted from someone from this meeting to get some additional information.
Sure.
On the other hand, I will send you a roster of this meeting so that you have an idea of who's attended in case you want to reach out to them for something for Harmony Kings. I'm trying to build a cohesive thing where we are not as independent. We are much more dependent on the knowledge of other chapters than we've ever been before. And so that's part of this. So I really appreciate you coming forward and sharing this time with us. This also reaches out to much more than just family and friends. It gets the chorus's name out in front of the community. It gets them in front of potential sponsors for shows and items. And it creates, if you have a workforce that's willing to work for you, if you have a lot of worker bees in your chapter, it's an opportunity to go out and say, hey, we're here, so that we stop being the best kept secret in town.
That's
and
true.
People start taking a look at us and going, oh my gosh, I didn't know you guys were here.
The other thing to keep in mind as you're selling raffle tickets or auction tickets or things like that, keep in mind that all of the fraternal groups and social groups in the area are doing the same thing. They're hitting you up all the time to buy these things. So you got a source to go back and get them to contribute to yours since you've contributed to them. And that builds your revenue up.
Yeah. Well, Joe, thank you very much. And I appreciate your time. And any last thoughts before I turn off the recorder?
No, I'm hoping that whoever is listening to this gets a feel for doing something. And if I can help in any way, give them my email and phone number.
I will do that.
All right. I thank you.
Thank you, my friend.
All right. Take care.
Bye.